Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing a book review on The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon follows Paige Mahoney, a young woman in 2059 London. Paige is a dreamwalker, someone who can break into people's minds. One day, Paige is kidnapped and taken to the mysterious city of Oxford, a city thought a myth, that is controlled by the otherworldly Rapine, who seek to control people like Paige with the gift of clairvoyance. Paige is assigned under the tutelage of a man known as Warden. Paige and Warden are initially enemies, but there is more to Warden that Paige is yet to uncover, and he has his own motivations against his own people. Paige and Warden must put aside their differences in order to undermine the Rapine, as Paige uncovers more secrets about her dreamwalking abilities. You guys, this is going to be a bit of an odd book review, I think, because I honestly don't know how I feel about this book. I'm a little conflicted inside about how I feel about this book. Part of me really enjoyed it. I didn't love it, but I still enjoyed it. But then a part of me kind of just really disliked it on some levels. So, yeah, this review may be a little just all over the place and confusing. I don't know, because I'm confused. But, yeah, let's get going. This is book one in this particular series. I think it is called The Bone Season? Not trilogy, the whole series is just called The Bone Season. And I think there's supposed to be like 7 or 8 books in this entire book series. And yeah, I think Samantha Shannon has only released 3 at this point. And my biggest question about this first book in the series: did anyone understand this book? Seriously. Am I an idiot? Am I just slow and stupid? Did anyone understand this book? Seriously, that's my biggest question. I just walked out of this book being very confused and not entirely understanding things. Like I said, don't get me wrong, there were certain elements that I did highly enjoy about this book. I really found the characters fascinating. I found the premise fascinating. I liked kind of this futuristic version of London. That was kind of cool. And considering that this is Samantha Shannon's first book, if I'm not mistaken, considering this is her first book, I think it's actually pretty well written. I think one of the biggest negatives that I walked away with this book, and why I feel the way that I feel, is that I felt like this book had an overabundance of information overload. And yes, I think there's such a thing as information overload. Now, it's great. You know, it's great when an author has just such a firm grasp of their world building. They know every in and out and just every little detail about their world. And you know, you see that especially in fantasy novels and science fiction, and you know, that's fantastic that an author knows that. But when I read books like that, I don't have a sense of information overload, if that makes sense. But with this book, it's like Samantha Shannon kind of just throws you into the world, and you're not really given any explanation. And you're not given any explanation even by the time you get to the damn ending of the book. And the thing is, to Samantha Shannon's credit, there is a glossary at the very back of the book, but to me, the point of a glossary is kind of, a glossary is meant to kind of, you know, jog your memory. A glossary is not there for when you're sitting there reading, okay? Let's say you're sitting there reading a book, and you're like, huh, what does that term mean? You know, what does that term mean? What does that word mean? What is this terminology? The purpose of a glossary to me is not to be like, oh, what does that mean? And then flip to the back of the glossary. To me, what a writer needs to do, a writer needs to explain their terminology, words, whatever. They need to explain it within the context of the book. You know what I mean? It needs to physically be explained on the page that you're on. Because you should not have to be like, huh, what does that mean? Flip to the glossary read what the word is, and then flip back to where you were and, you know, figure out, wait, what paragraph was I on? Where was I again? That is distracting, and it disrupts the narrative when you have to sit and stop where you're at to go look up a word. So yeah, to me, a glossary is kind of meant more for if you kind of just need to jog your memory about a particular word or something, but you need something explained physically within the text. So I hope that makes sense. So yeah, that's kind of where some of my big negatives come with this particular book, is that Samantha Shannon just kind of, like I said, she throws you right into there. You're kind of expected to know everything, and nothing is ever really fully explained in any sort of detail. So let me pose to you guys some of the big questions I had by the time I finished this book. No spoilers. I'm not going to sit here, since this is the first book in a series, I'm definitely not going to have any spoilers. But yeah, let me just get on my Goodreads review here, because I had so many freaking questions about this book. Let's see. Some of my biggest questions that never got answered to my satisfaction. What is clairvoyance exactly? Clairvoyance in this world, it's kind of this fantasy sort of thing, and characters have it. And essentially what I kind of boiled it down to is that clairvoyance within the context of this world, it means that people can essentially talk to dead people? Maybe? That's kind of hinted at and said, but it's like I never really fully felt like I saw that in action, if that makes sense. I don't know. So yeah, what exactly is clairvoyance? Do people, are they talking to the dead? And yeah, if they are talking to the dead, why are they talking to the dead? And for what reason are they talking to the dead? Yeah, what is the purpose? And then, yeah, within clairvoyance, there's a million different versions of clairvoyance. Samantha Shannon has another little glossary at the front of the book. It's like this little map. Instead of a family tree, it's like this map of the different types of clairvoyance, and there's like literally dozens and dozens of versions of clairvoyance, and it's just very confusing, and I never really got it. And then the Rephaim within this futuristic alternate version of London, the Rephaim have taken over British society. They are the ones in charge. They are essentially seen as the villains and whatnot. So yeah, the Rephaim. Who are they? What are they? Are they aliens? If they're aliens, I don't know. And if they are, I don't know how I feel about that if they're aliens. And then the Rephaim, even though the Rephaim are kind of the primary villains, the thing is, even the Rephaim themselves, you know what, am I pronouncing the Rephaim correctly? That's kind of how I kept pronouncing it. I have a feeling I'm not pronouncing it correctly, but yeah, I pronounce it Rephaim. But yeah, even the Rephaim, like I said, even though they're kind of the primary villains, even they themselves have their own enemies, and their enemies are known as the Emim. And yeah, are they aliens too? And then, yeah, one of my biggest questions, where exactly are we here with history? Is this supposed to be some sort of alternate version of British history taking place, like history deviated after the reign of Queen Victoria? Because we have a lot of mentions kind of right there at the very end of Queen Victoria's reign, and then somebody else, instead of her son becoming King of England, it's like somebody else that becomes King of England. Or something. And then that's where it's kind of during there, right at the very beginning of the 1900s, we're led to believe that this supernatural thing of clairvoyance kind of came into being, and that these aliens invaded, or something. I really don't know. And yeah, apparently Oxford, you know, there is a real Oxford in the UK, and Oxford in this is like some mysterious city. It's almost like the lost city of Atlantis or something. I don't know, guys. Seriously, if you've never read this book and you're sitting here listening to my review, you're probably sitting there very confused yourself. Like, what the hell is Stacie talking about? This review makes no sense. It's not going to make sense because I'm confused. So yeah, I left this book, as you can see, I left this book just very confused. Lots of questions that never got answered. And like I mentioned kind of briefly earlier, Samantha Shannon has said something about this is supposed to be like a 7-part book series. I can't even begin to fathom what the hell is going to go on in additional books. To me, that seems overlong and doesn't need to be needed for a series. This seems like a series that can be told in 3 books. So let's move on, maybe get a bit more positive with characters, because I did mention earlier that I actually enjoyed the characters. The main character, Paige Mahoney, she has the gift of dream walking. She can essentially break into people's minds. I really liked Paige. She's a very strong heroine. She takes no bullshit from anybody. She's flawed. She has her vulnerabilities. She's very headstrong at times. But she's a really fantastic heroine for this series. You know, very, very promising heroine. And one of her biggest characteristics, she's willing to kind of do just about anything for her friends. You know, if she needs to sacrifice her own needs, she'll do it. And then I definitely really loved Warden, who is kind of in the top tier of people within the Rep Haim. Warden, it's kind of hard to talk about Warden because it kind of gets into spoiler territory, but I really loved Warden. He's very complex as well, and it's kind of this back and forth of like, what's his motivations, what is his particular interest in Paige? And in due course over this novel, you do get some of those kind of missing pieces filled in about Warden and what's kind of going on there. And of course, there is some chemistry, whether that's positive or negative. There is some chemistry between Paige and Warden, because initially at the beginning of the book, Paige has been kidnapped by the Rep Haim. She's sent to work under the tutelage of Warden. And yeah, Paige and Warden, it is initially this very slave and master dynamic between them. But yeah, it's never abusive. That's the thing, it's never abusive, which kind of throws Paige off, because that's when she kind of starts figuring out, hey, there's something going on here with Warden, because he treats me quite better than the other Rep Haim treat their own slaves. And there is this odd mutual trust and understanding between Paige and Warden that develops. And they both come to realize that they need each other for very different purposes. You know, Paige kind of needs to use Warden to her purposes, Warden needs to use Paige to his purposes. And I don't know if this is a tad bit of a spoiler. I don't think it's really a spoiler, but one of the fascinating things with the Paige and Warden dynamic is that there's no instant like sexual chemistry between the two of them. Like I said, initially it is very slave and master like. So I kind of like that. You know, this ain't like some sort of Stockholm syndrome sort of thing. You know, it's not no sort of Beauty and the Beast sort of thing. Paige definitely is outspoken and she hates Warden, but like I said, over the course of the novel there is a trust that develops, and yeah, maybe the possibility of some sort of a romantic connection between them. So that is it for this book review. Yeah, guys, I'm very curious. Have you guys read this first book in the Bone Season series? Do you plan on reading it? I'm just very curious other people's opinions. If you loved it, if you hated it, were you as confused as me? The thing is, if you understood the book better than me, please share your thoughts with me, because I would like to better understand this world, because it got to the point that it was very, very overwhelming for me, and I just didn't quite understand what was going on. Just, there was a lot of characters, and I never really got a lot of the characters straight. Like I said, information overload with the world building and the terminology that Samantha Shannon ends up using. And my biggest question kind of leaving this book, it's like, how should I proceed with this series? Because I liked it enough that I would like to continue. You know what I mean? I liked it enough that I would like to continue. So yeah, I'm not sure how I would like to proceed. Should I, because I believe there's 3 books out. Should I just wait for the entire series to finish up and then binge it? Or kind of read them one by one? I really don't know. So yeah, I'm curious enough. You know, that's the thing. My curiosity has been piqued enough that I would like to continue. I just need more explanation to what's going on, because I don't know if it's alternate British history, if it's a dystopian, if Is it aliens? Have aliens invaded? I don't know. So you guys, that's it for this very, perhaps, confusing book review on Samantha Shannon's The Bone season. If you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like this video, you may like these other videos. Bye guys.